We are once again just days away from SpaceX's Starship Flight 9. Why are they pushing the date? What is going on? How close are Booster 14-2 and Ship 35, the two stages to fly on this flight, to being ready for showtime? Massively upgraded Block 3 boosters are very close to reality. And we're about to study a city killer asteroid that will come way too close to Earth. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. We're another few days closer to Flight 9 and hopefully to a more successful Block 2 Starship test flight. NOTAMs and marine hazard advisories are being revised quite often lately and extended out towards the 1st of June. We are still anticipating a launch soon, and these notices still point to May 27th as potentially being the earliest day Ship 35 and Booster 14-2 take off. Over the last few days, Booster 14-2 and Ship 35 have remained tucked away in their respective mega bays, undergoing checkouts and potentially repairs. Rumor has it that one engine on Ship 35 needed to be swapped after the recent static fire. However, the longer we go without seeing these two roll out for additional testing, the further the flight may get pushed back. Yeah. This is nothing new to Starbase watchers. We've been here before with previous launches. We are in the final pre-launch phase. Patience is key. On Wednesday, a row closure was set from noon to 4 p.m. from the production site to Massey's. We also saw the static fire test stand head into Mega Bay 2 to give Ship 35 a lift back to the test for presumably a third round of static fire testing. A solid hint that the engine swap rumor might be true. Also, very early Wednesday morning, there were signs of life in Mega Bay 2 from the lifting jig being positioned into place and a Raptor engine delivery. This looks like one of the Raptor vacuum engines, and while theoretically it could be for Ship 36 or one of the other test articles in Mega Bay 2, we haven't seen any other engines for them being delivered. Ship 35 was then cartered off to Massey's for a third round of static fire testing. It's the most we've seen from any ship prototype recently in terms of separate trips to the test site, but we know the reason. SpaceX doesn't want to have another early rud in this test flight, so patience and diligence are needed with all of these engine tests. There's lots of speculation as to why Block 2 has not had the same success as Block 1 in terms of getting downrange, and most of it leads back to the Raptor engines. At the time of this episode's recording, no static fire testing had been completed at Massey's, but Ship 35 is likely going to go through one more spate of blasting away into the flame trench before heading for stacking at the launch site. We know from past launches that the troubles mainly centered around the engines, so both ship and booster may be undergoing replacements. Whether it is one problematic Raptor or several, it doesn't matter. SpaceX has to get it right for Flight 9, and that means triple checking everything. It is no secret that Block 2 of Starship has seen its share of problems over the last few months. From fires in the attic above the engines to failed relights to green static fires, it's safe to say V2 Starships are still missing a few tweaks. The fact that we haven't had a water landing since Block 1 shows that a change in Block 2 is causing this. Something in there happened that was a step back and not forward. Oscillating resonance, which can cause severe stress to a structure, was named by SpaceX. Engines can cause this. Oscillation refers to something amplifying. Each time it swings, it goes a little further, amplifying the motion more and more until Freddy Falcon screams in excitement. Or in the case of a rocket, until it screams down in a cloud of debris. As a result, any V3 Starlink payload deployment did not happen either. But what about the next ship? Is the rest of Block 2 headed for scrapping? So far, not. SpaceX is still moving forward with actively assembling the remaining Block 2 ships, and we've seen more sections of Ship 38 roll out recently, with a LOX section heading into Mega Bay 2 recently as well. Currently, it's estimated that Ship 38 would be used for no earlier than Flight 12, if SpaceX continues to fire off Block 2 prototypes, but we'll have to wait and see. If they keep firing Block 2 ships, it would be an indicator for SpaceX believing the problem is either fixable on Block 2 or not related to the ship itself. SpaceX is not sitting behind the scenes twiddling its thumbs. They are working to get this right. What's also interesting to note is that in the freshly published launch license for Flight 9, SpaceX changed one relatively significant thing. On page 9, it states that the stages will fly to the Gulf of America and to the Indian Ocean. The ship will go to the Indian Ocean and the booster? into the Gulf. The water splashdown for the booster is now finally and officially confirmed. Why do they do this? Likely for risk mitigation and because they don't intend to fly it again. A water landing is essentially the same thing as a tower catch for the booster. It actually believes that it is landing on a tower until it gets wet. It aims for virtual chopsticks, so SpaceX gets all the data from the booster without risking the tower. I know we'd all love to see it being caught for a second time, but from an engineering and development standpoint, it just doesn't make much sense. The high bay is slowly being hole punched and peeled down at the production site, and it's leaving behind what looks like a strange monument to the early Starship prototypes. It's been interesting to watch how this has come down. SpaceX is no stranger to tearing down bays, tents, and hangars, and I am sure this won't be the last one. Gone are the days of the low bay and the mid bay. May they rest in pieces. SpaceX replaced them with something better, and the planned replacement for the current high bay, the Giga Bay, will also fit that criteria. The quicker this building gets torn down, the sooner the new Giga Bay construction can begin. But why didn't they just build the Giga Bay in the beginning? Wouldn't that have been easier? Yes, absolutely. If SpaceX had known what they needed from the start and what every building needs to look like, we'd be planting daisies on Mars by now. But that's just not how development goes. It's weird to even say that, but a high bay doesn't cut it anymore at this stage. On to bigger and better things. We're already seeing active Block 3 testing at Massey's with Booster 18-1, formerly known as Test Tank 17, in the Can Crusher. Version 3 Pathfinders are a critical component for the next iteration of Starship program because they let SpaceX know what does or doesn't work for future ships. Iterative design at its best. Booster 18.1 possesses brand new features that previous Block 2 boosters did not. It has a very different engine assembly, and it appears to have a new batch of metal tiles on the base. We previously mentioned that these might be actively cooled. What could also be is that these bumps are for sensors. If these metal tiles work, we'll probably see them on future stacked boosters. Might we even potentially see a future Starship fully covered in metal heat tiles? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below what are your ideas for a viable heat shield. In addition, we've also seen the first Block 3 Super Heavy Booster Common Dome segment entering Megabay 1. This will be the first time we've seen any Block 3 flight variant of either Super Heavy or Starship being stacked. Sometimes differences are hard to spot, as between Block 2 and Block 3. What about the hard to spot differences between this Common Dome and Block 2's version? It is a ring shorter, which suggests this might be part of a new generation of test boosters rolling out. It's interesting to see this in light of the potentially several remaining Block 2 test articles that are still to be launched. This has been a topic for speculation for some time now. Is SpaceX going to skip straight to Block 3? After all, Booster 17 is the newest fully stacked booster prototype, and it has been resting at the Rocket Garden with Booster 12-1 and Ship 20 for a month now. It was cryo-tested twice but never static fired. The longer it stays there, soaking up the Starbase sun and salt, it sure doesn't seem like SpaceX is keen to fly it. This is speculation, but that may mean they've learned all they can from the Block 2 iterations. It certainly does look like we'll see our first fully stacked Block 3 booster very soon. As we noted in the last episode, SpaceX currently has around 20 Raptor 3 engines in testing so far, which isn't enough to outfit even a single booster. Also, since they are still in the early production stages, it's safe to say that most of these probably aren't flight ready yet. What do you think? Will Booster 17 ever fly, or will it be overtaken by Block 3? So many questions that need an answer. Also, a few days ago, our photographer spotted some festive lights at the top of Megabay 2. What was going on up there? Turns out it was a wedding. SpaceX engineer Mike Coriel and his new bride partied hard on top of Megabay 2. What an environment to celebrate a marriage. It looks as if the happy couple exchanged vows next to the Rocket Garden. Best wishes to the happy couple from all of us here at What About It. Just like a healthy marriage, let me say that creating Y episodes is a team effort. Even if you don't know it yet, you are very much a part of this team and can help me out easily. Our channel metrics show over 4 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help improve the channel and double check that you've hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our updates. Like this video if you appreciate the content and become a Y supporter for extra content. Click the join button. Secure your access to up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, aerial and ground photos, and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. The entire team is waiting for you. You rock. SpaceX is moving to expand its launch operations on the West Coast dramatically. A new set of draft environmental documents from the Department of the Air Force confirms plans to convert Space Launch Complex 6, also known as Slick 6 at Vandenberg Space Force Base, into a fully operational site for both Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches. We reported about this several times, but now it is confirmed. It is happening. This would be a major shift. ULA last used Slick 6 for Delta IV Heavy missions, but it's been dull there for years. Now SpaceX wants to bring it back to life with new infrastructure, new integration systems, and for the first time ever at Vandenberg, landing pads for first stage boosters. According to the environmental documents, the upgrades would allow up to 100 launches per year from the site. That's double the current permitted cadence. If they max this out, it would easily get Falcon 9 over the 200 launches per year. Think about that next time someone says SpaceX is failing. They plan to add a horizontal integration facility, propellant storage tanks, new transport roads, and 2 landing pads positioned just south of the pad itself. One of the most significant changes is that Falcon Heavy would finally launch from California, something that's never been possible before. Projections show that as early as 2026, SpaceX could begin launching Falcon 9 from Slick 6 alongside the already active Slick 4E pad, with Falcon Heavy following soon after. By 2027 and 2028, the draft report estimates 70 Falcon 9 launches from Slick 4E, 25 from Slick 6, and up to 5 Falcon Heavy flights per year, all just from Vandenberg. This would make California not just a secondary site, but a critical node in SpaceX's global operations. A massive ramp up from an already crazy busy launch provider. And it's not just about volume. More launch sites mean more flexibility, especially for national security payloads and Starlink deployments into higher inclination orbits. The environmental review even covered the acoustic footprint of Falcon Heavy launches. It found that the expected noise levels, while higher than current Falcon 9 operations, would remain below the threshold that triggers further mitigation. The seals are safe, everyone. This all adds up to a major pivot at Vandenberg. If approved, the site would go from semi-retired to one of the busiest launch pads in the world. Last episode we showed you some subsurface radar images from Umbra satellite imagery of the Roberts Road facility, here in Florida. Visible were the foundations of the Giga Bay that is under construction and what appeared to be the OLM in a tent undergoing construction. We looked through the tent. And today we even have clearer images of the site from GeoSat. Here you can visibly see the progress that SpaceX has made, and it is crazy even after only 1 month since their last observation. Look at the differences in the launch site in just a month. You can clearly see not only the gargantuan new flame trench pretty much just appear out of nowhere, but also the area to the north has seen considerable groundwork and new pipes and tanks appear. There's been considerable plumbing progress to the west of the launch tower as well, and the area to the south has been heavily excavated in preparation for more equipment. Looking at the Roberts Road site specifically, the pair of shots from last month show a lot of ground was being moved as initial Gigabay work was being done. The second shot clearly shows that work on the actual site had started. Now in May you can see a lot more concrete has been poured and the footprint of the building is much clearer. This is important because it shows that SpaceX is rapidly progressing towards an infrastructure setup that is essential for a lot more test prototypes and consequently more launches. Starship launches. We don't know when SpaceX will officially begin construction on the Gigabay in Starbase, but a Giga race between the two would be exciting to watch. It took roughly 9 months to build each megabay in Starbase, so maybe SpaceX can keep that same pace even with a bigger structure. If they take 9 to 12 months to complete, we could be looking at them by next February or early summer of 2026 at the absolute latest. Do you want incredible aerial views of cool things being built? Check out redlineheli.com/Felix for a once-in-a-lifetime experience and $25 off flying in a helicopter above Starbase. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same views our photographer gets on his Starbase flights. Give it a try. And here's a special shout out to our operational partners at Starbase, Raptor Roost. Flight 9 is approaching and there is only one spot that is closest to the action: Raptor Roost. Go to raptor-roost.com and book your spot to watch a Starship launch in person with the greatest community there is at Starbase. That's raptor-roost.com. Book your tickets now. NASA is sitting on a rare opportunity and time to act is running out. In 2029, the asteroid Apophis will make one of the closest flybys of Earth ever recorded. It will pass around 31,600 kilometers above the surface, closer than some satellites in geostationary orbit. Yes, this is very close. Our moon is around 384,000 kilometers away, so this asteroid will potentially pass nearly 90% closer to us. Not cool. Apophis is about 370 meters wide, large enough to cause widespread devastation if it were ever to impact Earth. And while it isn't expected to hit us, scientists want to study it up close because this kind of near miss is a natural experiment we may not see again for decades. A proposal now gaining momentum would send a pair of spacecraft to intercept Apophis before it gets here. These spacecraft already exist and they were built for NASA's Janus mission, originally intended to study smaller asteroids. But after launch delays cancelled their original ride on board the Psyche rideshare mission, the spacecraft were placed in storage. Can you imagine? Now researchers are urging NASA to repurpose them quickly. The idea is simple. If Janus can reach Apophis before the flyby, baseline data on the asteroid's surface and structure could be gathered. And why is that important? That information could then be compared with what the OSIRIS-APEX mission will observe after the flyby, creating a before and after view of how a close encounter with Earth changes an asteroid. That's crazy. This kind of data would be very useful for planetary defense efforts, helping scientists better understand how gravity affects the path and shapes of near-Earth objects. You know, for when the time comes. So far, NASA hasn't made a decision. In a recent congressional hearing, officials confirmed that they are exploring options but haven't found a clear path forward. In addition to NASA's OSIRIS-APEX, ESA is developing its own Apophis mission called Ramses, with initial funding already secured and full funding expected to be decided later. Japan's Destiny Plus spacecraft, originally targeting asteroid Phaethon, may also swing by Apophis due to a delayed launch. Other mission concepts from various institutions are being discussed, but most face significant hurdles to launch before the 2029 flyby. Let's take a good look. VADA Space Industries has now completed 3 orbital manufacturing missions, each one refining its microgravity platform for pharmaceutical production. They have officially brought microgravity production of pharmaceuticals into reality. What a time to be alive! Drugs made in space! It all started with the company's first mission, W1, launched in June 2023. The capsule launched aboard SpaceX's Transporter 8 rideshare mission and returned to Earth on February 21, 2024. The capsule became the first commercial spacecraft to land on US soil and validated key hardware for in-space drug crystallization. Wait, drug crystals in space? It processed the antiviral drug ritonavir in orbit, specifically Form 3 crystals, which are difficult to produce on Earth. Ritonavir is used to combat HIV and also other diseases such as hepatitis C. Mission W2 followed in January 2025, flying on SpaceX's Transporter 12. It carried hardware from NASA and the Air Force Research Lab and touched down safely in Australia just 6 weeks later. While details about the materials processed haven't been disclosed, this flight continued testing the systems needed for repeatable pharmaceutical manufacturing in orbit. Repeatable is the keyword. W3 lifted off in March 2025 from Vandenberg Space Force Base, this time with Rocket Lab's Pioneer platform handling power and propulsion. The 120-kilogram capsule once again focused on high-value crystallization work in microgravity. It landed successfully this month, marking Varda's 3rd win in a row. Taken together, these missions show a shift from proof of concept to early operations. Varda's capsules are small, autonomous, and optimized for returning delicate, low-volume productions. A single flight can carry up to 100 kilograms of material back to Earth, though the actual payloads are typically much lighter, measured in grams or low-digit kilograms. These are seeds for further drug production, not bulk shipments. This is important for the pharmaceutical industry because microgravity allows for different types of drugs to be manufactured than here on Earth. More drug manufacturing equals more potential cures for diseases and ailments. It is a win-win situation. The company uses NASA-developed C-Pika heat shields for re-entry capable of handling speeds over Mach 25. That's fast. And by pairing their capsules with Rocket Lab's spacecraft bus, they've created a modular architecture that could support more frequent flights. Varda aims to scale this pipeline to a monthly cadence in the future, but for now their focus remains clear: high-value crystallization of small molecule drugs. It's a practice that is building on decades of ISS research, but with a system designed for industrial use. This isn't science fair hardware anymore. This is what commercial microgravity manufacturing looks like. Varda has successfully made something that used to be only in the realm of science fiction a reality. That's it for today. Before watching the bloopers, remember to smash the like button. Subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A new Raptor design and our Flight 9 shirt are both up. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. Also check out our print store at shop.whataboutit.space to buy a picture for your favorite wall. A significant amount of every purchase goes directly to our photographer Jordan. And if you want to learn more about SpaceX's Raptor engine and how it is completely revolutionizing spaceflight, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Before heading into la 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 la, run, they changed run. Iterative